Hi guys.
Welcome everyone to another Escapement Show. We're welcome to Saturday's show. And
Hi everyone.
we've got our distinguished guests. We've got Abdullah Watches and JCB in here. Abdul coming from Germany, JCB in Australia, Dodger in Poland, and myself in the UK. We've got a global panel.
Global crew.
Yeah.
Global crew, yeah. Coming to you. So, I had a little topic this week. We thought we'd do divers under £1,000. So this may be maybe your first watch or the first watches you think you're buying. Usually a dive watch. People usually gravitate towards divers when they're going for a first watch, and they may not have much money. So £1,000 I thought was a good budget to go for. Also, maybe a summer watch that you want to add to the collection, or beta watch. One that you may not want to. You may have a nice watch that you don't want to damage, or a nice watch collection that you don't want to damage, and you may want to get a watch that you can just chuck on and do the gardening with, do the odd jobs with. A bit of DIY and not get beaten up, and so something to add to the collection.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
do you think,
I would get one of those. I mean, mainly I think it's now sort of beach holiday time in the big part of the world, and I think it's just great to have something like that for the beach where you've got the sand and the sea. You're not gonna be too upset if you get a bit of sand under the bezel and you have to wash it out, or you get a few scratches here and there. So it's nice to have something. But I think my preference for a beach watch or a diver like that would be something that would be bright. Something orange. I don't know, something like. Can you get a Doxa under £1,000?
Oh yeah, got one of those in there.
I've got one on my list.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, that's right, Doug. I was just going to say, and sort of following on from what Thomas was saying, is that, like for me, I sort of found that I added a few of these watches in, sort of more later in my collecting actually, and more to fill that beta type of spot in the watch box. And as Dodger was saying, something that you can grab and take on holiday, something that you don't really care too much to bang it up. So I've actually added a couple over the last couple of years, sort of more later in my collecting. So it's interesting, sort of even, for guys like us, sort of seasoned collectors, there's always still place for a beta or two to chuck in the watch box and have a bit of fun with. That's sort of the point with these watches, right? We always tend to get caught up in the Rolex and the Omega and the Patek, and that takes up our brain. But those watches cost so much money. But the point of this hobby is having fun, right? So why not splash out on something a bit cheaper that you can just wear and actually get some enjoyment out of? That's what the whole point is.
Sure, yeah. Like you say, a watch that you can travel with. You may want to go on holiday, and something that you can take in the pool, but not be worried about being spotted with. And
Yeah, exactly.
Something you're safe with. That's not going to be. You're not going to worry about too much. Just like to say hi to a few people who've joined us in the chat. Justin Forge, Uncle Jongo, Certi Danny, Bafaris, Sirocco Sales. Emma's in charge as always. Jay Grace. Good to see you all. Great to see you. So I just wanted to say, Abdul, you're big in the Tommaso Talking Time with Tommaso Facebook group, aren't you? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? It's a Facebook group that Tommaso started.
I think Abdul's having a few technical issues.
Yeah, totally agree.
His net's slowing down a bit.
Totally agree.
Oh, we can get back to that one.
Yeah, we'll get back to that one. We'll kick off with the watches.
Yeah.
So let's start. start with some of the under £1,000 watches. There's a few of them to get through, so
Okay.
start with a Baltic. The Baltic aquascaphe.
Yeah, nice. Like up. Yeah.
This is £580, so it's quite good. €660 on bracelet. Sorry, €580 or 660 on the bracelet. It's a 39mm, 57mm lug to lug, 12 thick. It's using a Mido 9039 automatic movement and sandwich style on the quarter triangles and double dome sapphire unidirectional bezel and screw down crown and stainless steel strap or rubber. It's 200-meter water resistance. This is quite a handsome looking watch, I think. What do you reckon, guys?
I like the deep blue.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's really cool. Nice. It's a bit safe though.
Cool.
I mean, it's sort of, you know.
For me, it wouldn't be bright enough on the beach. I'd want something, that really sort of stands out a little bit.
I think for like a first watch, like if it's your only watch at the moment, maybe that would be a good choice just to balance it out, just going out at night or maybe taking it to the office on a leather strap. But I agree. If it were me, I would definitely go for something more bright, something more summer feeling.
Yeah, well, you can say whether it's good, bad, or ugly. This one, so all of these watches, you can give them a good, bad, or ugly mark. So, you just for fun.
Definitely good for me. And
yeah, I quite like it.
I say
but there's nothing bad about it really. Like there's nothing.
I'd say it's good. I couldn't give it a bad or ugly. It's neither of those two things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what do you?
I quite like it. Yeah, it's I quite like the faux patina on it and the sandwich quartz Arabics. But some might moan at the Mido movement. They may not. They may think it's a bit cheap, but it's coming in at a cheap price at half a grand.
Well,
you can't complain.
The thing with this price segment, right, is that you're always going to be compromising on something, and it's usually going to be the movement. The movement is going to be where they're going to cheap out on, 9 times out of 10. So you can't really expect, to have a super in-house movement or something really high quality caliber in this price range, I don't think.
My feelings are, if I was to buy a budget watch, what would be more important to me is that the watch module itself was easily serviceable at a lower cost. I wouldn't want to, let's say, buy a watch for under $1,000 and have to pay $2,000 to have it serviced.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand the different types, but that seems like a very common movement that most people could service. So I guess the service cost wouldn't be as high as, let's say, Rolex or another in-house movement, standalone in-house movement.
Yeah, and some of these movements you could actually just buy a new one and put it in.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Like if you're talking about like the NH35, it's much easier just to buy one and chuck it in rather than to service it, because the cost in servicing is just the hours of the watchmaker that he will take to service your watch. So that's the most expensive thing.
That's a very good point. Very good point.
So move on to another one, which is a bit of a strange shaped one. The Formex automatic blue diver. This is a 46.5mm, 53 lug to lug, 14.7 thick. So it's a big watch. It's using an ETA 2824-2, which is a more a movement people feel more comfortable with. It's 38 hours power reserve. Unidirectional aluminium bezel. It's 316L stainless steel case, sapphire crystal, and anti-reflective treatment on both sides. 200-meter water resistant. Italian calf leather strap with pin buckles, rubber strap with steel fold over clasp, or titanium bracelet with steel fold over clasp. So it's another big sort of watch, chunky watch.
It's pretty ugly.
It's not the most attractive of watches, is it? Coming in at £725. It's in the budget, but yeah, you don't like this one, JCB.
Look, I just don't know much about Formex. It's just not. I don't really know much about.
They're established in 1999, so they're a pretty new brand. So
to me, it sounds like a brand of tampons or something. Formex. I just don't like the name. Sorry. It's just, I don't know. It's just.
It
just put me off, man.
I just want to highlight a question. Sorry, I just want to highlight a question at Jay Gray, which will apply to all the watches. I mean, he's got a good point. We're going back, I know, but I wonder what the bezel action is on this Baltic. But I'll be asking that about all the watches we look at today. He has a fair point because I've noticed a huge difference, let's say, between the Rolex and the Seamaster, and I wonder what the difference is between Rolex, Seamaster, and let's say the Baltic and these form. You know what the actions are like. But I guess unless somebody's played with one, we can't really give anybody the feedback, can we?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the whole idea is the number of counts, like 60 counts, 90, 120. So how many counts does the bezel move? And the ball bearings inside the bezels, are they ceramic? Like exactly like that. And then the sound, just this.
Yeah, the sound.
Yeah. Like I'm wearing my Fortis, is also an under 1000 diver, and this is the sound of it. It's
it sounds like a Rolex.
Yeah. Yeah, the Rolex definitely a higher quality of a bezel, definitely.
Oh yeah, it's tremendous, really. I'd say.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's tremendous.
Yeah. I think this Formex would have our friend Y2K is his name, right? From last time, I think he would have loved this watch. He liked big bulky watches, but I'm not a big fan of bulky watches, to be honest. This looks like a amalgamation of a couple of dive watches together.
It does. You're right, Abdul. Yeah.
The hands from the Seamaster, the shape from an old Panerai, the strap from some kind of Doxa. It just feels too.
Yeah. It's a mishmash, isn't it?
Mishmash, exactly.
A bitzer, made of bits and pieces.
Exactly. Yeah.
Watch.
Yeah, I would say for me, I think this is an ugly watch.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay, that's the key to move on.
No, we didn't get everybody else. Everybody's got to have that chip in. Who else thinks it's what's the rest of the panel's opinion on that? Ugly? I'd say bad.
I think it's a bit of an ugly one, to be honest with you. Yeah, I agree.
I'd say bad.
Yeah,
fuck that.
We've got it from JCB. He says it.
Oh, chat, look at the chat.
That's done, Sirocco. It's off. It's off the screen. Right. So I like this one myself. This is the Certina Heritage DS PH 500M, £720. This is a 43 millimeters, 14.95 millimeter thick, anti-reflective treatment on one side of the sapphire crystal, 500 meters water resistant according to ISO 6425. Superluminova used on the hands and buttons. It's got a Powermatic 80 611 movement with 80 hours power reserve using an anti-magnetic Nivarocron balance spring. Comes on a NATO strap and it's got very retro styling. Only watches that meet the exacting requirements of the ISO 6425 standard can officially be called divers watches, apparently. And this DS has been tested for 3 hours underwater. The original Certina DS demonstrated its strengths in 1969, where 4 scientists wore the watches during their 2-month research stay at the Tactile Underwater Laboratory, and agreed that the timepiece was outstanding success. I love this one. I really like this. Really nice sort of looking.
When you design something that looks like a mill sub, I mean, you can't really go wrong, right? I mean, look how fucking good that thing looks. It's a killer piece, man. So good, so good. That was on my list too, Thomas. I had that one on my list, so you can probably tell because I really like the design. I think the size might be I mean, it's okay. The size is okay for me, but I can see how some people might have an issue with it. It's 43 by about 15. Yeah, look at that. It's a thick puppy. A lot of people would be fine with it, I think, but for me, it's probably pushing the boundary. That's the only criticism I have of the watch. Otherwise, for the money and the design, I think it's great.
Yeah, I really like this watch as well. And like you said, GCB, 9 out of 10 cheap out on the movement. This is the 1 out of 10 that cheaped out on the bracelet. They just said, okay, we'll give you a NATO, but we'll give you an 80-hour power reserve, a date, good loom, great water resistant, and ISO certification, which is not every diver has an ISO certification, because it's just more costs on the watch. So I definitely agree. It's such a nice watch, and looks really, really good. For a first watch, this would be a perfect choice.
Yeah, I agree.
I think also,
sorry, Doctor.
Certina has quite a heritage, doesn't it? I mean, looking back at its history, it's not, it's got a good provenance.
I really like it. It's a great one, but as you say, Abdul, it's a bit large on the wrist for 43 millimeters. It's you got to like big watches. It'd be a great one. I mean, I did pick out the smaller version, the original version.
The 200,
which is
the PH 200, I think.
This one, the PH 200, yeah.
Yeah, but even that's still pretty big, Thomas. It's still I think it's 42.8. So it's basically.
This one's 40 millimeters. This one. It's a resurrection of the 1960s model, inspired by the depths of the ocean. They say, a seamless continuation of timeless design.
Yeah, that's better. 40 mil is much better.
I'll go for this one. Yeah.
I don't think the 43 would work for me. I mean, the 41 is just big enough. Really, I couldn't imagine the watch being bigger than the one I'm wearing, so it may not work for me.
And this one comes in at £680, so it's £100 cheaper than the 43. So it's a very nice watch, both of them, I think.
Yeah, I think they're just if you have a bigger wrist, you can choose the bigger watch. If you have a smaller wrist or medium size, I would choose this one, because my wrist is just 17.2 now, so this would be perfect.
Yeah, so from Certina, what we got next?
We didn't give it a score. We've got to score it.
I like it. I think it's good, that one. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's definitely a thumbs up for me for both of those.
Thumbs up on me, yeah. Me as well.
Definitely.
So we're going to Edox. The Edox Skydiver 70s date. This is £1,000, so this is quite a lot, this one. It's an ETA 2824 again, so it's the thumbs up on the movement side. 40 hours power reserve, 42 millimeters by 13 thick, automatic base caliber, Edox caliber 83 they call it, but it's a 2824. 30 meters water resistant, stainless steel case and bracelet, sapphire crystal, and Edox have been designing, producing, and distributing hand-assembled Swiss-made watches since 1884. So I don't know much about Edox, but that's what they say. So I don't know whether I can bring this up any bigger. Unfortunately, let me see here. No, that's about the biggest we can get it.
That's a ceramic bezel by the look of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's a run-of-the-mill sort of design. It's for £1,000. It's I don't know whether I'd put my money there, to be honest with you.
But isn't that a different kind of diver? Because it says skydiver, doesn't it, as opposed to divers in sea diver?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. That's weird. That's bizarre, right? Skydiver.
Well, maybe you would want to use a bezel to time your descent. I don't know. Did you jump out? To be honest,
maybe you just get looking at the watch and you throw it out the window of the plane when you're cruising around. See you later.
If somebody ever threw me out of the plane, the last thing I'll think about is twizzling the bezel to set the time.
Yeah, I think they didn't put sea diver because it would have been like the sea master or submariner, something like that, and it just for me it just looks like a copy of the submariner somehow. I don't like it, to be honest.
So this one gets the bad vote, does it?
No, it looks like a replica of the sub, to be honest. I don't like something that just tries to replicate the Submariner. I know the Submariner is the perfection, but you should do something else, really. Tempt us with something else.
Well, if you want, I suppose if they're aiming, if you want a Submariner look-alike homage on a budget, this is what you can buy, and that's what they're going for, that classic design, aren't they?
Yeah. It's just if you compare it with the watch beforehand, the Certina, like you're just getting so much more stuff for your money compared to this Edox. Maybe that's why I have negative connotations on it, because the watch that we just saw before gives so much more value for your money than this one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
And that's a good point, Jake Grace. So they could have called it Skydiver if it had a GMT function. But
exactly.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a bad vote for this one, do you think?
Yeah, because it's too close to the Submariner.
Yeah. For me, it's bad just because it doesn't make me really feel anything. I just look at it and I just go, yeah, whatever. That's like a meh watch.
Yeah. Same exact feeling, yeah.
Yeah. So that means take it off the screen.
Oops.
Now, this would be a funny one for you. The Tissot seastar 1000 Powmatic 80. This is £645 using a Powmatic 80 movement, which is basically ETA 824 base, I believe. The Powmatic 80 movement has 80 hours power reserve. It's 300 meter water resistant, 43 millimeters, which is big again, 12.7 thick. Exhibition case back, which I think is weird to put on a diver. 21 millimeters lug to lug, folding clasp with safety and diver extension. And Russell, the Mad Watch Collector, recently did a video on this watch, and he wasn't keen on it at all. He said the looks and the bezel and the hands and the indices just looked. He wasn't keen on the overall watch at all. He said the bezel clicked very nice, and yeah, he wasn't fond of it. It does come in different colors.
Yeah, when I saw this watch and I handled it, the thing that stood out for me was how thick the hands are. If you have a look at the hands, right, they're really thick, and it just makes the watch look a bit sort of like a toy watch, like it's sort of unrefined or something. And that was the thing that just stood out for me as being a bit weird. And so yeah, I didn't like it, and maybe that's what Russell was saying about the hands, like yeah, just it was a bit weird. But besides that, it was an okay watch. Like it felt like a fairly good quality piece. I didn't really have any other issues with it, but it was just the look, just the aesthetics didn't do it for me.
What's your opinion on this one, Abdul?
Yeah, I agree with GCB on this one. I feel like they just took an older Tissot diver, just used Photoshop, made everything bigger, thicker, and then stuck on it Celita from the looks of it, because of the date on the 6 o'clock, which I don't really enjoy as well. And yeah, the bracelet, I don't feel like it gives it the best look, to be honest. And at least with the blue on blue, it looks okay for me. I wouldn't say ugly, but the green and black, it feels like somebody just took the bezel off and changed it to another bezel somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on the bracelet. I'm not a fan of that sort of polished and matte sort of 5-part link bracelet. It's
I think I have to agree with Jamie. It's too Seamaster-ish. You know, I've got the blue Seamaster, and all that's missing is the wavy dial. It's gone chunky. It's chunky like the Seamaster. I think he's trying to be too much like the Seamaster. Blue.
So, what do you think for this one? Good, bad, ugly, halfway in between?
I'd say bad.
I'm going with ugly.
Yeah,
ugly, you say JCB?
Yeah, I would say ugly as well.
Yeah, okay. Right, ugly it is.
Big slaughter there, Thomas. He comes to the slaughter here.
A big boo with that one.
What was your vote, Thomas?
Yeah, I agreed with Russell, to be honest with you. I thought it was a bit meh.
Meh.
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, right? I mean, with any watch, it's sort of got to have something about it that jumps out, that's sort of unique to the watch, and it's got to look good. Yeah. I think the problem with this category, like the divers under $1,000, is that there's a lot of them that just look the same. Like there's a lot of the same sort of style watches out there, and to make something a bit more unique and to stand out a little bit, I think that's the challenge. I'll talk about a brand that I think is doing a good job with that, a bit later. But I think we've already seen a few of the pieces where they're just sort of meh, like that Edox, and even this one. It's like, the manufacturers have got to come up with some good designs, because we know that they're going to cheap out on some stuff, right? The movement's not going to be that good, or whatever. The bezel action might not be the best. So give us some designs that are good, that we want to wear. That's where you gotta sell that's where you gotta pull us in as the watch guys. Get us in on the designs. I think that's where they should be putting their R&D effort into, is really the design guys.
Agree 100%, JCB. They've got to draw us in. Got to have something that catches our eye and we want to buy.
I think the design of this next one I quite like, to be honest with you, which is the Mido Ocean Star 200. And this is a 200 meter water resistant, 42.5 millimeters, 11.8 thick. It's using an ETA based caliber, which is basically the Mido caliber 80, an 80 power reserve, but I believe that comes from a ETA base. Stainless steel case and bracelet, folding clasp with diamond extension, applied indices, skeletonized hands filled with superluminova, using a day and date on it, and the Ocean Star tribute with mesh bracelet as well. They do. This is 920 Swiss francs. So, I mean, Mido founded in 1918, and yeah, I quite like this piece, to be honest with you. Don't know what you think.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the Tudor Black Bay 58. Like if you look at it from a bit far, the blue one, it looks quite nice for the price. Mido is a great company. It makes great watches. I like him more than the other two watches that we just saw, to be honest.
You got to go, Doctor.
Yeah, time to go. I might try and I can't guarantee I'll be able to make contact again when I'm down at the lake, but yeah, it's time to go.
Have a great day, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
Have a great one.
Take care.
Great to see you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you, Dodge.
See you, mate.
The one I like in Mido, Thomas, is the what's it called? Hang on. I think it's called the Ocean Star Tribute. It's a bit more of a vintage looking one.
Right.
Now I'll just see if I can pull it up. Mido. That's it there. It's because, again, if you look at this one, it's a little bit. I mean, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's a nice watch. It'd be a cool watch to buy, and it just sort of blends in, and it just sort of do everything that you need it to do. There's no problem with that. If you have, I think this one. Yeah, I'll just pull it up. Share screen. This one here. This one here has got a little bit more. I think it's a little bit more unique.
Oh yeah, I like that. Nice.
Yeah. This one here is. I think it's a bit more punchy. Like, don't you think? It looks. Look at that bracelet, man, with all those links. I think it's really cool.
Nice.
So I would go for this Mido, Thomas, over the other one. I think this one's been around for a bit longer, I believe. And a friend of mine's got one, and he always puts photos on Instagram, and it looks much better in the real life photos than this render. It's a really cool watch, actually. This one. So this would be one of my picks in that price range for sure.
Looks really nice. I love the bracelet as well. It looks like a mesh bracelet, but it's actually like small links, 7 links, right, or 8 links.
Yeah, I really like this.
Really nice.
I agree.
Really nice. And the faux patina is done really nice. It's not too dark. You have the orange hand, and I even don't mind the day and the date here because they are black and they just go well with the watch, because you can put it on a nice brown leather strap and take it every day to the office, and then you have the day and the date, so it's functional. And then on the weekend you go out with this bracelet to the sea, swim, do whatever you want.
I mean, as a first watch, this would be ideal because, as you say, Abdul, it's got the day and the date, and it's got everything covered, and it's quite a handsome looking watch. That, I think, JCB, good pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a blue version as well, which is really nice. It's just taking its time to load up for some reason. But these are and sorry, yeah. So this one,
really nice.
The blue dial as well is really nice too. Yeah, it's a cool watch. And I think the size is good too. I think it's maybe a 40 or a 41. Pretty slim. It'd probably be like 12.5, something like that. Like, the size of the watch is pretty cool. Where's it going? Okay. 40.5. Yeah, thickness 13.4. So really good wearing watch. 21 lugs. Great size watch. So 80. I think it's an 80-hour movement.
Mm-hmm.
I think, 80 hours reserve. So you're getting a pretty decent watch, man. Mm-hmm. And it's something that looks pretty cool too. Like, this was a pretty cool watch. Sorry to jump in to butt in with that one, but I thought I'd show you that that Mido.
Not at all. No, it's a good one. Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, I don't think you're being too harsh with Rocco Sales. It's just we're just talking about budget watches, so we're not talking about our main diver that you'd have. We're not talking about Submariners. We're talking about cheaper entry level watches and ones that you might use as beaters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love divers without any date, to be honest. Like my Tudor Black Bay, it was the one without a date. If I get to buy a Submariner, I will buy a no date sub. But for a first watch, I guess day date is not a bad idea.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Doxa earlier, and this was the next one, £950. This is a Doxa Sub 200 Professional, 42mm by just 42 millimeters, 200 meters water resistance. This is an ETA 2824-2 movement, scratch resistant, dome sapphire anti-reflective coating. It's a sapphire bezel, I think. It's a reissue of Doxa's first dive watch that came out a few years before the 300T, which we all know Jack Gusteau wore. And this is a quite clean dial with not much script. And the original one, the Doxa reference 11804-4, came out in 1963, and is the one that this is a reissue of. And this was unveiled at Baselworld in 2019. It's got a lovely beater-ice bracelet and with a folding clasp and the Doxa fish symbol on the back. And this isn't my favorite Doxa by far. I mean, I'm much more a 300T man myself, but for under £1,000, I think this is a great buy.
Yep. Well, this is their budget. This is their entry level watch.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was pretty close to pulling the trigger on the blue one. It still pops into my mind every now and then. It's a cool watch. Nothing wrong with that watch at all. It's a quality piece for the money, and you can pick them up. You can pick them up on the secondary and save yourself a couple of $100. So cool. They're good buying used.
Yeah, I like the orange dial. Really good starter watch, but not buy it new. That's the key. In getting one that's not too badly, let's say, used.
You could get one in the yellow or the there's the blue, and we know that Doxa there's a whole range of colors, so lots to choose from in Doxa.
Yeah. Oh, Tiffany.
Yeah, Tiffany, the one of the moment.
Surprised that one's not like 4 times the price of the other ones.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, sold out one. The only sold out one in the collection. Yeah, but I have to say, Doxa was one of the first ones to make the bright colors for divers. Like we have a lot of watch manufacturers that are riding the hype, from Zin to Nomos to a lot of brands that are just making colorful dials, and Doxa was one of the first ones.
Yeah, this would be a great summer watch, I think. With the colors, you could go there and express yourself a bit more, and great watches for summer and for women. If they want to show the colors a bit more.
Yeah, it wears really well. It's quite thin, actually. It's not, super thin, but I think it would be around 12.5, 13, something like that. So it sits nice on the wrist, this watch. It's pretty cool.
So we'll move on from Doxa. In Doxa Nation, Doxa Nation. Big tribute to Blue Shirt Buddha there.
Rest in peace.
So next one, a bit of a funny one, but I know that Alex Foti likes Christopher Ward, and so does T and Tickers. So I thought I'd include a Christopher Ward in there.
Cool.
This is the Christopher Ward C60 Limestone, £960, 42 millimeters, 600 meters water resistance. It's using a Sleater SW200, 38 hours power reserve, made from steel and carbon. And Christopher Ward say that this is a fitting tribute to the Royal Marines. It's approved by the Ministry of Defence, and it's the inner rotating compass bezel it's got, and inbuilt anti-shock system in the movement, PVD steel and carbon dial, and it's 13.8 thick, 42 millimeters, and 49.3 lug to lug with a rubber strap. I quite like this one. I mean, they say it's I don't know what they're actually saying about the. They've stamped it on the back with the Royal Marines.
Looks cool. I like it.
Yeah, they're stamped on the back with this Royal Marines emblem. But I don't know whether they're actually the Royal Marines are actually using them. I don't know whether it's just a marketing ploy or whether actually the Royal Marines are using them. But an interesting watch from a British company.
Yeah, I really like it as well. I like that it's black on black. It has this stealth look, really nice with the orange contrasting, just giving it enough color to look okay. In other situations, maybe put it on another strap. I saw also one picture with the NATO. I guess it looks really good as well. And yeah, it looks like a solid watch with chronometer movement. So you know that it will. Is the other crown to fix the bezel? Or inner compass?
There's a rotating bezel, and then there's the other crown is to rotate the compass on the inside.
Compass, right?
So
yeah, the inner compass.
Inner compass there, you can see.
Yeah, that's really functional as well. Like that would be really great in situations where you're on a boat or whatever, and you're trying to find your coordinates or your heading. That would be helpful.
Hi Y2K, welcome.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
man.
How are you?
Good. Yeah.
Hi, brother.
Please continue on. Please keep it going. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is, as I was saying, this is a Christopher Ward that we're talking about. We're talking about the divers for under £1,000. So this was the latest one we were talking about, and
I like it. It's a thumbs up from me.
quite nice, isn't it?
I don't have any Christopher Ward. I've never had any, but from what I've seen, I sort of really like what they're doing lately. They got some cool watches, cool designs, and the price point is right. So yeah, it's something I want to have a look at a bit closer. We don't get them here in Australia. You don't see them in the high street or whatever. So I think the only way we get them in here is if you buy them online directly from Christopher Ward, which is a bit of a shame. So I don't know what it's like in the UK. Thomas, do you find them down the high street? These guys, are they out and about, or?
I'm not too sure. I haven't seen many down the high street. I know they do a lot of online work, like a lot of English micro brands or macro brands. A lot seem to be doing mainly online business, but I believe Christopher Ward are in the high street. I haven't seen many myself, but I don't know whether people in the chat have.
But before I was talking about design before, and also experimenting with materials is something that's really cool as well. I think when you get these, cheaper brands, giving us things like forged carbon and so on. I just think that's really admirable from a innovation point of view. Yeah, it's cool, admirable. I like it.
Yeah.
So we'll skip on. And this next brand, I don't know, it was they describe themselves as an independent boutique brand from Pforzheim, Germany, which is what it says on their website. I don't know whether you've heard of them, Abdul. They say in 1958, ESA started to use the historical manufacturing automatic movement from Hermann Becker, established in 1921. The first ultramatic ESA automatic was born. Today, ESA continues the exact same vision of time and past. Quality automatic timepieces, which also now embrace vintage style and design. All the timepieces are still made in Pforzheim and will keep being so in the future. And the design of the ESA timepieces is made very strongly influenced by 60s and 70s. And this is the 1972, a modern interpretation of an ESA diving watch from 1972. The 1972 has a stylish appearance with its polished and finished and thin case, using a Sleater SW200 adjusted to 6 positions, leather and rubber tropic style straps, 41-hour power reserve, 39mm, 11.95 thick, included with a 50mm lug to lug. It's domed sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating on the inside. I don't know whether they're a Phoenix brand who relaunched years ago, but they're founded in 1972 in Australia. They found in 1972 in Australia 2 dial colours of this watch, blue and black, and they did an exact re-edition of the 36mm, the original, and also a modern variant in 39.5mm. So I'll just go to the bottom and bring up some pictures, bigger pictures.
It's pretty cool. I don't mind that. What's with the hour markers? They sort of look like horseshoes or something.
Yeah, they're funny. So it's classic 70s design, really. I mean, you see this on a lot of Longines. I think Longines recently brought out the Ultrachron, didn't they? Which
that's a cool watch.
It is, yeah, £3,000 though, that one.
Expensive, yeah. What's the price? So expensive.
You often get these sort of indices on vintage Orises and vintage Longines, and yeah, it's just a look of the 70s, basically. It's the 70s styled watch.
Yeah, I like it a lot as well. Yeah, Pforzheim is just around 100 kilometers from where I live. And the whole Black Forest region was one of the 3 areas in Germany where they used to make a lot of watches back in the days. Now there are a couple of companies left, like Junghans and Hanhart. They're just like 30 kilometers away from my house. But most of them are, like you said, revival Phoenix companies, just came back. A couple that survived the whole quartz crisis. It looks really nice. Oh, is the bezel also loomed? That's
as well.
That's
Yeah.
a nice touch, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with Sirocco here on this one. Like, sort of oddly enough, it's just jumping out at me as being a really cool piece. This one, it's got that vintage case bezel, but there's just you've got the modern touches with the loom, and I just think it's a cool piece. Yeah,
£885 this one. So I mean, I quite like it. It's definitely got that 70s vibe. It's that 70s look, which is quite fashionable at the moment with a lot of reissues.
What movement did you say it had, Thomas?
A Celita 200.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's really nice.
What are your thoughts, Y2K?
It's a bit green for me. It's very green, I must say. You know.
Sure, I'll take you back to
The green doesn't show up when it's just like it's pretty white.
Dark,
yeah. So this is the one that we saw in big. Is it's the watch face color is green color? Yes.
No, it's just black.
No.
It's black.
Black. Okay. I think it's the way the loom or maybe the angle of the photograph makes it look green. Generally, I feel that this is pretty good in terms of its design. Now, how much is the water resistance? Is that 20 atmospheres? 20 ATM? Is that right?
200 meters water resistant. Yeah.
Okay. All right. The leather straps is very deceptive because we always associate leather straps with luxury dress watches or like dress watches in normal with leather straps. So I think when we talk about divers, we always think about bracelets, rubber strap, mesh. But I think with this new generation of buyers and the way people are looking at diving watches, they really stretch out, the norm and the conventions of normal watches and just do like what seems to be like a leather or nylon strap. But let's not forget they can also do NATO straps as well because people, I rarely see people dive with a NATO strap because I think it slides up and down underwater. So maybe, this could be a new direction for it. I think the question here is, how is the movement in terms of it holding up? Yeah.
Well, the Pelagos FXD comes on a NATO strap, and they say that's used by the Marine Nationale. So, NATO straps are used in diving, apparently. But I would say that this one being a 70s watch, I think a lot of watches in the 70s did come on leather straps, whether they were divers or not. And you do see a lot of... I do see a lot of vintage ones when I'm trawling through eBay and things like that. I do see a lot of vintage divers on leather straps. So I suppose they leave it up to you to put it onto a NATO or a bracelet yourself.
Yeah, it's a good point you raised because with vintage dive watches, there's always been that great and that big concern towards the integrity of whether the movements are still running well. So I think you do prove a point, that back in the vintage timepieces, they generally do use leather straps, and the watch faces diameter are slightly smaller than today. So today, divers can be going up to, to almost 48, 46 millimeters, but back then the vintage diving watches would be in the 39, 36 millimeter range as well. Yeah.
Right, so get rid of that one. Now, we couldn't have a dive watch under £1,000 show without including Seiko.
Yeah, I was waiting for Seiko.
They've got the sumos, the samurais, the monsters, the turtles, all sorts of things. So this specific design is inspired by the 1965, the first Japanese diver and the first 150 meters diving watch in Japan, upgraded from the original for the increased comfort and high visibility. It has a clear dial layout and smaller case size for the low center of gravity, they say. It's got a chocolate brown coloured dial, 70 hours power reserve, 200 meter water resistant. It's 40 millimeters and it's using a Seiko automatic movement, I would imagine. But it's quite nice.
Yep.
try and pull up a photo. You can see the chocolate dial a bit more on this man's wrist. It's there. So I mean, Seiko have had all sorts of watches, the 62 mass and all sorts of different ones. I'm pulling another one up later on, and but this one, this 1965 diver, is a classic sort of Seiko.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong with a Seiko.
It's moving from it's in the prospex line, which is that mid tier between the lower entry level watches and the higher Grand Seiko. So it's better quality.
I think they're generally at that price point. They're all running 6R 35 movements, which is sort of Seiko workhorse movement. I think it's pumping out now about 70 hours reserve, something like that. The accuracy is, it's not quite COSC, I don't think, but it's pretty close. So no problems with the movement, I think. Yeah, I've got a similar Seiko in my picks, so for the price as well. So you can't really go wrong with these guys, I think.
Yeah, Seiko is definitely a great choice also for a first watch. Definitely a watch that, like Flip and Zip was saying, it will take it all.
Trademark that, man. That should be
exactly.
in the magazine. In the
exactly the sales brochure.
While we're on the subject of Seiko, gents, sorry to interrupt you guys. I just decided to pull out some samples that I have on hand for the viewers to consider. So let me just get the lighting up here. So this is, I would not call this a diver, but this is actually Seiko Sports, which is very readily available in most areas, ladies and gentlemen. So this watch, some people would call it a bit more on the aviation side, but in terms of a watch of this caliber and its status, it's 100 meters only, and the pricing is pretty good. I think I got this about like 300 or 400 Singapore dollars. And let me just unclip this and show you guys the movement. Here we go. So that's the movement. Let me just move it there. Focus. Yeah. But anyways, this is actually one watch you guys can consider. Though I wouldn't call this a proper diver. The other Seiko, since we're in the Seiko, the Seiko part of the discussion, that a lot of people in Asia like to consider as a good starter diver is also the Seiko Diver 200 meter Paddy. Okay, this is another one. It's really good, really affordable. You can get one for about like 200 to 300 Singapore dollars. I don't know how much is in US dollars or in pound, but these guys are really robust and reliable. And I think for this one, it's using the solar, yeah. This one's a solar powered, so you can actually use the sun to power it. And the original one on this one came with a rubber strap, okay? But let me just see if I can show. The case back is actually a closed case back, okay? Anything, for those who are wondering, most of the Seiko, the diving line, they always have the word PADI, P-A-D-I, or the prospex, prospex or the diver. So this one, we are rocking it at 200 meters in terms of it. And the bezel, you can also turn it as well. Yeah, so it's only just one direction for the bezel. Yeah, and you've got like chrono pushers. Yeah, so let me just do a little turn.
Are they screw down pushers?
These pushers, no, these are, I don't believe they're screw down pushers. Yeah, they're not screw down pushers. Yeah, just thought I would share with you guys. Yeah.
Here's a question for the panel and also for the punters. How do we feel about dive watches with chronographs? Just in general.
I don't dig them, to be honest with you. I don't. I know that some divers may use a chronograph underwater, but I'd be very wary of using a chronograph underwater with a dive watch, just because of the pushers. I don't know what Abdul thinks.
Yeah, you mean the Moser one, right? The streamliner with the chronograph and 120 meters water resistant, where you can use the chronograph underwater. Like I think I would be crazy if I would use the chronograph underwater with this watch. But usually I don't like chronographs for divers, and especially if the other, like you said, GCB, they're not like screw down that's like screw down buttons. Like for instance, Daytona, you close everything, you go swimming, everything is closed. You are sure that no water will come inside. But if I'm getting a budget diver, I would definitely go for a Citizen Pro Master, something like that. Solar movement under 150, 160 euros. You can beat it up for 20 years and it will keep working.
Yeah, right. So there's your answer, JCB.
Yeah. I mean, when I first started out, I didn't really care. Like, one of the first watches I bought was a Tag Heuer dive watch, which had a chronograph. So it was a diver with a 7750. And being a guy, I thought, you want to have, just because I'm a chrono guy, right? So I thought, why not have a diver and a chrono, right? But as I sort of have matured, I like my divers to be firstly like thin, and secondly, just to have a bezel, like a three-hander with a bezel. I think that's just what a diver really essentially is, and I think it just sort of feels like the right setup for a diver, just to have leave the chrono out. You don't really need it when you've got a dive bezel, right? That's the point of having the fucking bezel, right? In climb style. So it sort of seems like it's a bit of overkill to have that there. And plus, as you're saying, Abdul, like, I mean, it's going to, having extra holes in the case, right? It's just increasing the likelihood of something going wrong. So just don't do it, really.
I think someone in the chat was mentioning about Omega having Planet Ocean Chrono. So I think Uncle Django is saying that. So yes, there is one with a chrono on the Planet Ocean. But before the Planet Ocean series, there is one Omega that actually has pushers. And based on what I remember, the news from the sales associate was that you can actually use the pushers. It's the only one that you can use the pushers underwater. Yeah. So it's one of the big chunky ones. Yeah.
I mean, those Planet Oceans, those chronos. I mean, they're about as thick as this bloody iPhone plug. Okay, they're fucking ridiculous. The Planet Ocean itself is too thick to begin with. Then you add the chrono in, and the thing just becomes like, it's ridiculous. I think it's over 20 mil, if I'm not mistaken. It's like, who's gonna wear that, man? Like, really? Like, you don't see them around because people just don't buy them. It's a bizarre watch. If you're like huge, if you're Arnold Schwarzenegger or something, okay, fine, but average punters is just not a watch that they're gonna wear. I think.
Yeah, I agree. Just too thick. Like, I don't understand Omega's way of thinking, to be honest.
Actually, on the contrary, for me, I like chunky monkey watches.
Yeah.
So I just managed to find the series from Omega that has the pushers that can push. I mean, you can push it underwater. So it's the Seamaster Diver 300M, but obviously it breaks the budget already, because one brand new from Watches of Switzerland was about $8,000. So that's already breaking the bank already. Yeah, but just so for everybody's interest, this is the series that you're looking at for the one that has pushes. There is one that actually has a silver face. Okay, that's the one I quite like. There's one with a silver face on it, and I think yes. So it's the one that also has that the capability of pushing the chrono pushes underwater. But obviously, it's more like if you spend 8K, you don't want to be like playing with fire. Like, I shall try and see if this is true, because it's 8K of your money. You don't want to be a buffoon underwater and like, oh, I screw it up, So even if they say, it is, a possibility to push it underwater, you might want to be very careful about that as well. Yeah.
So you'd buy one of those Y2K? Would you actually, if the watch came up at the right price, you'd pull the trigger on that?
Yes, I was very close to buying the silver-faced one, but at that point in time, I was kind of like, I still have my other Seamasters, so I didn't feel that there was a need at that point in time to buy it. So I think this is a newer edition. Yeah, so the new edition, sorry, this is a new edition from Omega. So now they had the, this is the American Club edition, I think. Yeah, it's called the American Club edition. Yeah, let me just move this way. So the ones on this side are more on the really, really cool and more expensive versions. Yeah, with the gold. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that one. Yeah.
So, while we're on Seikos, I'd just like to bring up my favorite one of the moment, which is the Seiko Prospex Diver 1970 Willard, £1,000, top of the budget.
It's green Willard, yeah.
This is the based on the original 6105-8110. Was popular with American troops in the 1970s in Vietnam and was famously worn by Martin Sheen when he played Captain Willard in Apocalypse Now. This modern version in green is a hard-wearing, easy-to-read watch with a very distinctive look. Modernized from the original, it has high visibility in a smaller case for more comfort. 42.5 millimeters, 13 thick. 70 hours power reserve, 200 meter water resistance on a rubber strap, stainless steel case, and it's an island green dial bezel, and it's a bead blasted case, which I love. Don't know what you think of this one, guys, but I really like it.
Yeah, I like it too.
Looks great.
Really comfortable as well on the wrist. Like, these watches don't get enough kudos for how comfortable they actually are on the wrist. Once you put them on, the whole case thing, it makes sense, and it really feels nice. Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, I really like them as well. I even had a Captain Willard homage just because I wanted to try to see if this asymmetrical shape would be working on my wrist, and it just fit quite nicely. And I sold the homage afterwards, but I'm really thinking about getting one of these because they look really cool, and they just at least the homage ones, which is practically one-to-one copy of it, really nice. The only thing I don't like about Seiko and these watches, if you look at the first one, the bezel is misaligned with the indices. Other than that, it's a really nice watch.
Let's see that.
And that's how you know it's original Seiko, right? That's how you know it's original Seiko.
That's gonna pick on the Seiko lovers.
Is this the actual Seiko website? Are you on the Seiko website, Thomas?
No, this is in the Watches of Switzerland website.
Where design is really given, the crown protection is really simple. In terms of that. Now, call me OCD, but in terms of, I remember seeing one of these before, and I was always thinking, like, if you go diving and if you don't actually rinse your watches when you finish your dive, whether you're in a pool or you're in the sea. Now, the thing with this kind of design is it's good to protect the crown, but it takes a bit of maintenance on the crown, which means that bits and pieces, if you don't clean and you're in a very humid climate, you can actually have green colored algae that's actually starting to grow on surrounding the crown area. Yeah, it's true. The grooves. You can really see.
It'll match the dial though. Come on.
Yes, right. It will, it will
Exactly.
actually have green algae in the grooves if you don't wash it over time, which I have seen some people's watches actually have green algae right at the crown area. That's because they've been using it for diving, or like they've dipped their hands underwater to do something, but they didn't really dry it out properly. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Green algae.
Yeah, really. I know it's quite shocking, but call me OCD. That's why.
I think that only happens to bronze watches.
No, it can happen, especially if you're in a very humid environment, tropical humid environment. It's a perfect breeding ground because what happens is that sometimes people who don't really clean their watches take a toothbrush and scrub it up. You can actually have algae growing them because some people, they just, I used to work in the commercial diving industry. So people actually, when they pull out their wristwatches, and actually under the sunlight, you can see like green stuff in the crowns. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just like to welcome a few more to the chat. There's Alex 40, Chili Badger, and we've got Jonathan Quell Higgins. Welcome, guys. Good to see you all.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Chin chin.
Yeah, but I think Seiko is like the grandfather of divers, to be honest. Or at least the divers that everybody had one in their lifetime. Like submariners, of course, are the epitome of divers. Let's say that most of the people want to get the diver. But the Seiko divers are just so diverse, and you will find one that suits everyone's taste, let's say.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Guys,
Right.
Is there a special name for this particular kind of case, is it? There is a name for this kind of case, isn't it?
I'm not sure whether it's the turtle case or whether it's the...
Is it like the hammerhead or something? I think the hammerhead is a bit like that, but there is a few watches.
It was a Willard case. I thought it was known as the Willard case, this one.
Captain
Well,
Willard.
this is the Willard. This is the Captain Willard case. Yeah. This is the Captain...
Okay. Willard. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the flanks of the case are a bit thinner than the turtle. It's a bit more like how do I say it? It's thinner down the edges, if that makes sense. More wedgy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's cool piece. Cool watch.
Right, we'll get off the Captain Willard and we'll move on to the next one. And this is the Laurier Hydra Series 2, coming in at $499, which is a cheap one. Just get to the pictures. So this is using a Miyota 9015 automatic with the date complication. It's a super compressor case with an rotating bezel, dome test light crystal. 100 meters water resistant, 39 millimeters, 47 lug to lug, 11.5 thick. Date at 6 o'clock. Using 316L, they call marine grade stainless steel with solid end links, and a push button clasp with 3 micro adjustment slots. Laurier do quite a few watches. They do the Neptune, which is a nice one, which I quite like, and they're micro brands of coming in at good prices. I think this is currently sold out at the moment, which I presume they're getting more stock in. But $499 is very good price point to start from, I think.
Was that 36 mil? Did you say?
39 mil.
I mean, fuck, it looks small. That guy's got like a 10-inch wrist or something. Fucking hell, it's huge.
It makes sense because when I saw the first picture that you showed, Thomas, I could tell it's probably about 39, 34, 36, but I think 39 would be like the close range. But yeah, it's definitely, it's a very, how should I call it? It's a watch that's actually meant for people who don't want the very chunky kind of look. Yeah.
Yeah, I like smaller watches, but the model that they used might have had like a 22 centimeter wrist circumference or something like that, because it looked really like 36. I like it, but like the hands just feels like they need to be other proportions. Like the minute maybe a little bit longer, the hours a little bit shorter.
Yeah, I get you. Get you, Abdul. Yeah.
Abdul, that's a very good point. I was going to say it looks like the fuel gauge meter in my car. Yeah, the fuel gauge meter when you're going to go low on petrol. It's actually looking the same, because I think in the car they use like illumination for when you turn on the headlights, it illuminates it. So they've actually made the this particular lorry, the hands do look quite similar to the fuel gauge meter.
Yeah, and as Jonathan says, the Torna Greyville, that's a great watch, and they're going to be available soon. Cracking one shot. I should have included that. I'm not sure what the price is though, but should have included that, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out. So, what was your marks on that one? Was it good, bad, ugly?
Doesn't look like a dive watch to me. Number one, because I think in my kind of experience with dive watches, I've always thought they look a bit more robust. So the Laurier has two pushes, two crowns, is it? So two pushes. I'm assuming one.
Yeah, inner rotating bezel. It's a super compressor case, so it's got an inner rotating bezel.
Okay, so just nicely, I was pulling out one piece that also had this design as well. Now this is a very obscure brand. Not many people know about it, but excuse me there. Okay. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, so this shows that it's still hardy. So this is an Australian brand. It's called Panzera. So I actually got this for fun. So it also has two pushes as well. Yeah. Let me just get the light. Okay.
Oh, Scarlet, super compressor case, yeah.
Correct. So it's got an inner bezel as well that turns around. And as you've got date as well here. Yeah, and the hands are a bit on the different sides, a bit like rectangular, transparent. Yeah. So J Grey Sweater, just answer you. This watch is pretty hardy. I've taken it like to the beach, to the pool, and yeah, so it's actually quite good. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, the Torna Greyville's a Blancpain 50 fathoms look-alike, as Jonathan's mentioning.
I think this Laurier is like a disc diver, let's say. Like you would buy it just because you might go swimming 1 day or 2 days in the whole year.
Yeah.
And the other year round, you're just wearing it in the office or around the house.
Yeah, I think you'd buy it just as a first watch, maybe, and it was you wouldn't necessarily take it as a dive watch, maybe. You'd just buy it as one of your first watches at the price, $499. I mean, what's that? That's going to be about £450, maybe £400. So it's a good price, well under budget. Now, this next watch I really love. This is a great one. It's the Jaws watch, the Ulster Nautiscaf Super Automatic, £795. It's a 1970 re-edition in the metal bracelet. Ulster rose to popularity in the 60s and 70s and were recently revived in 2014. They have a long history in dive watches, but are mostly famous for this model, which was worn by Richard Dreyfuss in the film Jaws. The Nautica Super Automatic has now been reissued as a limited edition model, limited to 1,975 pieces. Although Ulster tried to preserve the original design, the reissue has been made using modern materials. It's only got a Seiko NH35A in it, the movement. But that's a workhorse movement. And I suppose they'd replace that if you took it for service. It's 38 millimeters, 43 Doxa lug, sapphire crystal, C3 super luminova, 300 meters water resistant, shock resistant to ISO 1413 standard, anti-magnetic to ISO 764 compliance, and stainless steel porthole bracelet, which is just great. I love it. Don't know what you think. Oops.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Yeah, not bad. I mean, I wouldn't buy it, but I can see that it's pretty cool.
I'd buy it just because it was in Jaws.
Yeah, yeah, true. That's enough to get one, isn't it? The Jaws factor. Yeah, it looks great on. Great on his wrist, isn't it? It had that real 70s vibe when you see him jumping into the water with it. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
And the bracelet looks really good as well, like really different. The only thing, the bracelet looks really like different, like and it goes with the 70s look of the whole watch. Just the NH35 movement for that price point just makes me a little bit. Maybe a Celita would have been a better choice, yeah.
I love Sirocco. Shame the shark didn't eat the damn thing.
For those of you who do diving, okay, have you ever had dive knives? So the full aluminium, or is it the ceramic dive knife? Some of the sheath, not the sheath, sorry, the handle of the knife, okay, actually having circles in it. Okay, so this watch actually has the bracelet that matches the same kind of design of the knife as well, which is a dive knife with the circular gaps in between. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know what the chat think. I know Sirocco's saying that the shark should have eaten it, but we're not doing a Rolex stream here, Sirocco. We're doing cheaper budget brands, so you got to adjust to that. Yeah, I mean, as I say, I like this watch. The movement's not the standout part of it, but it's a very 70s watch. As I say, a lot of 70s watches are in favour at the moment. Seems to be a look of a lot of watches.
Yeah, probably a pass from me, but I mean it's okay. But I mean, yeah, probably a pass from me, mate.
Okay, move on. Right, what have we got next? Unimatic. I like these ones. There's a lot of Unimatics, Italian, made in Italy. They use SW2 movements and very clean dials with the Unimatic branding. Made in Italy with a depth rating of 300 meters and using C1 Superluminova. They've got this lovely coffee one. They've got a black dial version. And they've got this ghost style version without any indices on. But a lot of people are saying how they like this coffee version, which is I really like it.
What can you see the markings on the bezel? Like, what's on the bezel?
It seems to be, the bezel seems to be very sort of faded out, the markings on the bezel.
Does it have markings on the bezel?
No, it doesn't seem to have to.
I think it doesn't.
No,
What
it
the
doesn't.
fuck?
I think it
Point of
doesn't.
that then.
Yeah, it
And
looks
take
it
the
looks like
bezel
a
out.
new.
Yeah.
I don't know what the bezel really is for.
Well, made in Italy, I think it's going more for the fashion look, to be honest with you.
Okay.
This cannot be considered diver because the thing is they really look like they skimped out on, like something is not incomplete. We have like, the time, even numbers and all these things
Yeah, the
are
fucking
very
bezel insert. Like, someone forgot to engrave the damn thing.
They just
yeah,
put the dots.
it looks incomplete. 6:30 kind of job, I'm sorry, but
Yeah, I think
realistically,
this is a disc diver.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is only take it when you're going into the pool while wearing a t-shirt.
Have any of them got hit? This one's got.
Those ones do. Yeah, those ones do. So that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you've actually got a functional bezel there, which is cool. Yeah, I was gonna say the black, that's actually pretty cool. The fully blacked out one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind that. That's pretty cool.
965 euros. This one.
Nice.
Those big belly cases. So the certainly got.
You paid 960 euros for the big chunky box.
Yeah. So
I quite like the design. I think they're really cool watches, to be honest with you.
You see, the black one, they actually, did what they had to do, finish it at least to the bare minimum. But the brown one, there is no consistency. If they want to make a design, they've got to make it consistent. Otherwise, it looks a bit like people wouldn't buy the brown one. People would buy the black one because it's more complete. This one is just like, the brown one is just like, that's it, that will do kind of situation.
It's a fashion watch. The brown one is the fashion watch, and the black one is actually the functional one. The brown one is what some trendy Italian dude drinking coffee would buy, sitting in
Oh, JCB, you harsh.
No, I mean, come on, we're talking divers, man. Diver, you gotta have a function, right? Like, it's gotta have, like, you're going underwater, even if you're just snorkeling, you gotta be able to see how much your dive time is, or maybe not if you're snorkeling, but if you've got a tank on, you're gonna want to know how much elapsed time you've done. Like, that's just basic. That's the bare minimum of function that you need.
Yeah, if we're not going fully ISO certified diving, then at least watches that you could take for a quick dive. The other one with no markings, it's just a fashion watch. It's just a watch that some marketing guy in the company was like, "Hey, how about taking these markings off? Maybe we can sell them for people who like diving watches but will never go in the water." No, good idea.
Well, if you look at this one's even.
Yeah, that's even worse. Yeah, that's
even more of a fashion watch.
That's really like a Movado. Yeah, like I have a Movado from the 80s from my grandfather and that's exactly like a Movado. Like
yeah.
That looks like something that Gucci would come out or something.
Looks like a what? Sorry.
Like something that Gucci would come out with, or something like that, like full fashion watch sort of thing. Oh.
Okay, then I tried, but what's your opinion on the Unimatic then? More fashion.
I like the black one. The black one is cool actually. I didn't mind that one at all. The black one, either the PVD case or just the black dial one, because at least it's got the bezel markings on it, and when you look at that, like you click on just the stainless steel case, you go back to the stainless case with the black dial. Yeah, the one on the left. Let's have a look at that one.
Yeah, that's got markings on the bezel. You can see the markings on the
Yeah.
bezel on that one.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That looks a bit like the Baltic, the first one that we saw, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's got that Submariner dial, hasn't it? It's got those round indices and the quarter, the arrow at the top at 12 o'clock, and the the triangle at the top at 12 o'clock, and it's a Submariner homage, basically. But except with the date at 6 o'clock. So, unless it looks like a Submariner, it's no go. So I got some a bit more colourful now. And these watches I've always liked. These are Zodiac Super Sea Wolves. They're £750.
Yeah.
They're 40 millimeters, 200 meter water resistant, using SDP 113 movement. A Swiss Technologies production, STP. In-house also a winding movement with a day and swan neck regulator. Actually, an STP 111 is the base movement, which has been tweaked a bit in-house, so to say. And STP is owned by Zodiac's holding company, Fosslink. And some have speculated that the swan neck in this movement is may derive from the Seagull 1963 caliber, which is interesting. It's got a lovely Jubilee style bracelet and ceramic bezels, although I'm not sure whether they're ceramic. They look more like sapphire bezels. I think the originals were. And available in a wide variety of summery colours. As you can see, there's this one.
Yeah.
It's watermelon sort of colour to it.
It looks like an ice cream, pistachio ice cream.
Yeah, that's the blue one.
Click on that. Yeah, that one's pretty cool. And the black PVD one's pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
So these are definitely summery watches, and I really like Zodiac. You want the black PVD one, do you?
Yeah, I think that one. I think it's got sort of like yeah, that one. Fuck, man. I was gonna pull the trigger on that one.
I don't like the hands on it. The hands are horrible.
Yeah. Fair call. And the markers are a bit big too at the 12369. They're a little bit big, aren't they?
Yeah, somehow on this it looks a bit different, right? The hands and the indices look.
Yeah, they are different. Yeah.
Is it a Jubilee bracelet?
Yeah,
It
it's like
is, yeah.
Jubilee style bracelet.
Yeah.
Interesting. Zodiac.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this brand before.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah, I like the color before the one that the blue one.
Yeah, I think it's a sort of it's an aqua green type of color.
Aqua green. Thomas, could you look at the two colors ahead, like the blue one with no, not the melon one, just to the right of them. Yeah.
To the right, yeah, two to the right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this one exactly. That looks also okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think this one on a nice white rubber strap would look good in the summer.
That'd be pretty cool.
This is very, that's a funny thing. Zodiac has really been clever. I see what they're doing here. They're playing with the colors with the bracelet on the bezel and the watch face, But I see the common theme here is utilizing Jubilee bracelet, making it look more grand. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, they've dressed it up a bit. Yeah. I don't know why. There's just something. something about the Zodiacs that I dig. I think all of us, we sort of dig these watches for some reason.
I
don't
do.
know.
I do, JCP. I really like Zodiac.
Yeah, I like their bezels a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And they're one of these watch brands that make watches like they did before. Like they looked really nice and before, and they didn't change so much. They put a cheap movement just to get the cost down. I understand. And they're not saying, this is movement from XY when it's from China. A lot of companies do that. So I also like that.
Yeah.
Okay, Zodiac. So we quite like this one then.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Now, a bit of a funny one coming up next is a nice brand that we all know, Hamilton. I don't know what you're going to think of this one though. Now, this just goes over the budget. The Hamilton khaki navy frogman, 46mm, so it's big. Uniquely shaped crown protector, 300 meters water resistant, 80 hours power reserve, Hamilton H10 movement. So I don't know what that is. Stainless steel case also comes in a PVD version, which is absolutely illegible, and a version on a rubber strap. I can try and take you down to the PVD version, but tell me if you can read this.
No.
Okay.
You just can't tell the time on that, can you?
No.
No, I think you lost me at 46mm, Thomas.
Me as well. 46.
I like the size, but this looks like the blacked out form, the Omega that's fully blacked out. There's one Omega, it's a Seamaster. I think it's fully blacked out. It looks like it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. The 300 diver comes fully
It
blacked out.
also comes on a rubber strap. So it's an interesting. I like the crown protector, but that's about it, to be honest with you, with this one. And it's top of
Hello,
the
Alex.
budget.
Hi, Alex.
Hey guys, how are you? You all right?
Hi,
Alex.
yeah, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? I saw you saw the Hamilton.
Yeah,
Is that PVD or DLC?
DLC, I believe. I'll just go back.
Yeah, it's a problem with the coating because once it scratches you, it doesn't look nice. So I think PVD is not as strong as DLC. And one of them, if it scratches as a mark, and the other one, if it scratches as black. So there's a difference. But yeah, it can look really tatty and ugly after a while. So, and it's a pain to remove as well. It's very difficult to remove. It's expensive.
Yeah, it doesn't say whether it's DLC. So if it's PVD, you're really up it. You're really in there, aren't you? So smartwatch needs to be DLC rather than PVD, but yeah.
I think as a rule of thumb, if they don't say, then always think of the worst, because if it was the best, the better one, they would just mention it, you know.
Yeah, just got to be careful, guys, when you're buying DVD. Who remembers DVD? Man, PVD and DLC, because especially pre-owned, because it will have marks on it. And then when people buy a pre-owned PVD or DLC watch, they'll want to obviously make it look new, and then they go down the rabbit hole and they wish they never bought the damn thing. So just when you're buying watches of coating, just understand and appreciate that it is going to get scratched and you can't polish it out.
Yeah.
I've got a watch to show you. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, please.
Let's do it.
Let me get
Go
it.
ahead, Alex.
Very special piece.
While Alex is getting the watch, in terms of Hamilton, I really do like Hamilton watches. I've got quite a few. Yeah.
Are you ready? This is all factory, by the way.
Let's do it.
Oh, bling, bling, bling.
Wow.
Wow, olive dial. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that rose gold as well? That's the Rollersaur, isn't it?
Yeah, it's rose, yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful, beautiful watch.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Very elegant.
These are beautiful. The only thing is, these new bracelets, they bend. They actually do bend.
Oh,
yeah.
dear.
So you've got to be very careful. They're quite delicate. So the inner can bend. So if
Is that gold so soft?
well, as in it's because it's not that thick. It can actually bend up and down. It can actually wave. It can like if you look at it like down an angle like this, it can actually start to wave. So you've got to be very careful with these. The bracelets are not as durable as you think.
That's got the ceramic pins in the bracelet, right?
Yeah, it's got the ceramic pins in the bracelet, so it doesn't wear that much internally. But in terms of when you're putting it on, and if you push down enough, it will bend.
Okay. Yeah,
No
right.
stretching this. This is 2021.
Oh, it's not got any stretch. It doesn't seem to have much stretch in it at all, that one.
2021. So what's it in at the shop for, Alex?
I had an issue with the auto work, so I had to sort it out.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Special Rolex tooling that I've got in house, luckily, because I personally think that if it went to Rolex, they would have avoided the warranty because there was an issue with the auto work, and they would have said it's due to neglect, so they would have avoided the warranty. So hopefully, because I've adjusted it, if it ever does go back, then if there's any reason during the 5-year service warranty, then they will just do it. They will just sort out if there's any other issues.
Okay.
So everyone out there, if you've got trouble with your Rolex watches, get in touch with perpetualtime.com. Perpetual Time Limited. They're the people to go to. Alex Foti can sort your watch out for you.
What are people's thoughts on the diamond bezel?
Oh, it's beautiful. Listen, I've seen some diamond bezels, but the Rolex factory diamond bezel is stunning. It's absolutely the stones that are used.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why they use this type of bracelet for the watch?
What do you mean, sorry?
What do you mean? Yeah.
Is there a reason why they use this particular bracelet that's you mentioned is a bit more bendy for the watch?
You mean the presidential bracelet, or?
Yes. Sorry, the presidential bracelet. Is there a reason why they chose this kind of bracelet for the piece? Because I think if I look at my previous my grandfather's watch, the Jubilee bracelet fit a bit more on the like the bendy flexy situation. But with this one, was there a reason why it was going towards more bendy?
I think it's because it's thinner. It's much thinner than the 18038 and the 1803. Look how thin it is. So its weakest point for me is here, where it joins here.
Ooh, okay.
Having
Thanks,
said that,
Alex.
some I've seen, they were either in fights or they managed to drop the watch, and it did bend the bracelet. But I've seen too many now, so I do think it's a weak point on this actual particular model. But it's not that big. It's not actually a big watch.
Is it 36 mil?
No, I think it's big. No, it's bigger than 36.
40.
38?
39?
Day 40, that would be.
Day 40, right? It's either 36 or 40 then.
I was going to measure it. This is a 40, yeah.
No.
But it's not that big.
Alex has got a big wrist.
Well, it's not as big as my boy here, you know. Look at this one. This is much bigger.
Yeah, if anybody wants to buy an IWC Big Pilot, get in touch with Alex. He's
Yes, sale. If you want to buy it.
Yeah, I just can't do watches with diamonds like that, man. Like I'm sure the diamonds are nice and the Rolex factory setting is, I can appreciate it, but I don't know, man. Just give me the watch without the diamonds. Give me the standard bezel. I'd be happier, I think.
No, I respect what you're saying. It's a bit too blingy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's out there, man. It's like I'm a drug dealer or something.
It's very flashy, very attractive for people who like diamonds. It's already a Rolex precedent, and then you're like, look, I'm just going to add more bling on top of it besides the whole bracelet. It's like in your face kind of watch. But it's beautiful. I admit it's beautiful, but it is definitely an invitation for crime.
The other thing is, I just got a Rolex in for a service because it was bought through eBay, and it went through their authentication. Now, the authentication missed quite a few things. The fact that the gold crown is badly worn, can't even see the symbol on it.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
And
It looks wet.
Also, the watch completely stopped working, and this wasn't seen at the Rolex eBay authentication that's used now. So this wasn't seen.
How does it work with eBay's authentication? So, like, I'm a seller. I'll put my watch up on eBay, and then what? They send the photos to some watch person that they know, or like what's the process?
The watch physically gets sent to the actual company that verifies it.
Right. Okay.
Apparently.
So you got. Okay. So you send your watch as a seller. You send your watch to some dude to authenticate.
You don't know who's doing it. You don't know the name of the person, or you can't speak to them. It's just a yes or no.
Okay.
But that watch, it wasn't picked up. The crown wasn't picked up on that. Now, some people might say, well, that's just wear and tear, but you would have thought they would have said crown symbol worn away or issue with crown, and the watch was stopped as well. When it came to the customer, it stopped. So yeah, it's kind of pointless, really.
Yeah, that kind of defeats the point, right?
Yeah.
Is the crown? Is that just? So what are you saying though, Alex? Like, is the crown like an aftermarket? It's not a genuine crown? Do you reckon, or what?
Well, the thing is, it's a genuine crown, but it's so badly worn that, let's say, if the new owner wasn't aware that the crown needs to be screwed in, or the fact that it's worn and it popped out because there's only so many threads because it's so worn, the water will get in. There's actually an exceptional watchmaker on YouTube. Oh, I forgot his YouTuber channel. He has a huge following, and he bought a watch off eBay. And what happened was, the tube came off with the crown. Now, because he's a watchmaker, he would have known what to do with that. So you would just replace the tube, Loctite a new tube in, and then seal the watch. But as a customer, if a customer received that watch and undid the crown to change the time, and the tube comes out with it, and they go in or near water, then it's finished, and they will be liable. So on that crown, it's so badly worn that the Rolex symbol is not present. But the problem is what is internally worn as well. So when you're screwing the crown back onto the case, the tube that's on the case is worn as well. So it will just pop out, or it won't screw in properly.
I see. You know, Alex, it's funny that even till today, people still gamble on eBay hoping to get a good deal, but really making a big gamble just to buy an expensive piece of Rolex and just receive it in a box and hope that it's all right kind of situation?
Oh, look, I had a client that wanted me to check a watch urgently today, and they sent me some pictures. The watches are far out fake from the pictures, but obviously I've still got to charge them and put in documentation. But they wanted it doing there and then, so I charged them a bigger fee. But they were very pushy about wanting it doing today, which is fine, but it was a complete fake, I can tell.
Shiroko has a question. Isn't the crown plated because gold is too soft?
It's gold capped, so that's a 16013. So the cap is a gold cap rather than plated. You can imagine it's like I don't know what the base plate would be. It's probably steel or some sort, and then it's capped on, which you can actually remove the gold and you can scrap it. So a lot of watchmakers, they will get the crowns if they're so badly worn. You bend underneath and you take the cap off, and then you can scrap the gold.
Oh.
So yeah, I just I wanted to share that with you. Now, I'm not being disrespectful to eBay's authentication, because my authentication will be hopefully this year, but that is pretty poor. The fact that they've actually received the watch, it's not from pictures, they've received the watch, and it's just, your eye just gets drawn to the crown. So you would have.
But if they're just giving you a yes or no, if it's just a yes, it's genuine, or no, then they're probably not going to go into that detail about the crown having issues or whatever. Like, it's genuine as far as they're concerned, and they've done their job, and that's it, right? They're not doing anything more.
Yeah, they don't want to scare all their clientele away, but at the same time, I mean, that is not as described. The watch was described as functioning in good condition. I would not class that watch as functioning in good condition.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? That's sort of like the role of eBay or the authenticator in informing people about what's happening with the watch. No.
Well, it could be worse. You could be invested your money in crypto. I know somebody that had £1 million in crypto. Now they have 250,000.
Yeah, that's been a bad state of things. You've got to wait another couple of years to see if it gets back to its original value. And it's a
Depends what you bought at, though.
All a gamble, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like every investment class is down in the past couple of months. Definitely crypto went down more, but look at like Netflix. If you have Netflix stocks, it went down 76%, 77% from the top. And Netflix, I guess everyone has a Netflix account back home. So yeah, I guess if you have also a big stock of overhyped Rolex watches at the moment, you would be also in a hurry to sell. Also, if you have a couple of Richard Mille that you bought way over leveraged, I guess it's a bad time at the moment for people selling with a big stock.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I'd never say it, but it's even affected the pre-ceramics. Depending on what you bought it at, but even if you bought it at a relatively sensible price, even pre-ceramic Rolexes sports are being hit by this as well.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I was going to ask you a question. We're talking about Seiko. We're talking about sort of cheap dive watches, and we were talking about we pulled up some Seikos before, and we were even with some other watches. We were talking about, like, okay, you're paying, say between £500 to £1,500 for a watch, right? And the question sort of that always comes to your mind is, when it comes time to service like a cheaper automatic watch, like whether it's worth it or not. Do you sort of service it? Do you pay the money, or do you just buy a new watch? with say, do you do work on cheaper watches like say a Seiko 6R35 or 6R15, something like that? Like, what's your view on that generally, on getting cheaper watches serviced? Like, what do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm just trying to get to what advice can you give the punters about, when it comes time to service a cheaper watch? Like, what do you do, if there is any advice?
Oh, for me, so I don't service Seiko watches. However, Seiko movements are extremely reliable, whether they're the cheaper end or the higher end. They are very, very reliable movements, but I don't take them into service. The majority of companies now no longer service, they movement exchange.
Yeah.
So movement, I think we spoke about this before, haven't we? Because it's more economical for them and more profitable.
Yeah. Just swap the movement out.
Now, Seiko, in my prediction, Seiko will not be affected by this. They're going to sell more watches. Seiko won't be affected by this issue. They're going to sell more watches. Seiko will do well during this crisis. But Seiko watches, as far as I know, they're not expensive to service. If you send it to Seiko, I don't believe they're expensive to service. It depends on which caliber. I mean, obviously you've got the Grand Seiko. They're going to be much more expensive to service than your average Seiko. But
the average Seiko,
I wouldn't say they're not worth servicing. It all depends on what you paid for it. If you paid pre-owned and what that watch means to you. So it could be sentimental. So obviously it's worth servicing, or it could be a watch that your ex-partner gave you, you're no longer with them. God knows.
It comes down to how much the service is going to cost you, really, at the end of the day. Like, if it's just going to cost you maybe $100 or $200 or something like that, and you might.
Yeah, I mean that's cheap for a service, I think. But yeah, it's relative, isn't it? It's relative. Some brands, my God, they charge an extortionate amount of money to service, and they're almost half the price of the watch, and they're just extortionate, some of the prices they come out with for servicing, or they just add on a load of options that they say, oh, you need this, you need that. But with Seiko, from what I've heard, they don't, apart from Grand Seiko, they are very fairly priced for servicing.
Roughly what would it cost to service a watch with a 2824?
Depends on the brand. I go by brand.
Yeah, okay. So with this, I've got what have I got here? I've got a combat sub. This is got a 2824. This cost me about Aussie $400 or something like that. So the service on a 2824 for this might cost, I don't know, I'm going to guess and say about 200, 250. It's like, I'll just buy a new one.
Yeah. Yeah, in Germany, at least the major cost in the service cost is the watchmaker cost. So I have here two watchmakers in the city that I live in that are one is a friend and one is acquaintance. And the friend, I go to his workshop, I can sit, we can drink coffee and talk about it, and then he's telling me, okay, just this took like 30 minutes from my time and we were talking, and you're a friend, it's okay. The other one is like, this is 1 hour of my time, this costs like 80 euros. This will 2 hours, this will be 160, and so on. And sometimes, like, I took my vintage Seiko to him, which has a high sentimental value because it was the first automatic watch for my father, and he gave it to me as my first automatic watch. And the guy was like, no, I cannot fix it. I have to send it to you have to send it to Japan if you want to fix the movement. I can just swap another movement in it that will do the same function, the NH35, because it has like an older one, which is the 7019, something like that, and he doesn't have parts for it. So it does play in, like you said, like if the watch is 400 euros and the service is 250, I'll buy a new watch, or I'll buy a used one that's 1 year old or something like that. It makes much more sense just to sell the other one, recuperate some funds, and buy another one with it.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Which is a very good point that was raised, because the Seiko I showed you guys earlier, the Seiko Sports, so it was a gift from my father when he was buying for his company. So I got to pick one out of the few. He was giving it to some of his colleagues. So, I think the safe assumption is that we always hope that when we buy a Seiko Sports, we believe in the Japanese QC, quality control, that is very stringent, very strict. But even with that particular piece, the Seiko Sports, it uses the 5R36, I think, the 5R36 movement. So there were two issues that came up with it. One issue was that it started to have a wee bit of fogging. Now, I do not know if it was my fault or was it the watch. So I would take it assumption that it was probably my incompetence, because I like to brush my watches, and if I go out the whole day and I get sweaty and everything, so I would clean it up. So it could have been that the crown was not really pushed in properly. But I definitely do think that was the issue. And the other issue was the bezel of the Seiko Sports was a bit hard to turn. It felt very yeah.
So we'll just go through the last couple of watches that I had lined up. If you don't mind, is that okay?
Yeah, let's rock and roll.
Go for it, man. How many more you got, Thomas?
Yeah, so about 5 more. So this is the Yema Navigraph, or Navigraph. I always call it the Navigraph. $749. It's got an in-house calibrate Yema 2000, they call it. Now, I don't know what that is. So I don't know whether it's Chinese movement or what. But it's 39 millimeters, 300 watt resistant, 42 hours power reserve, 12.15 thick, bright yellow hands and indices shaped like exclamation marks, which I quite like. Super luminova sapphire bezel, 316L case and bracelet with divers extensions, sapphire crystal with anti-reflective treatment. I can only pull up this picture of it. There is another version of it, which is the Marine Nationale version, and I'll just pull that one up as well. That's $100 more, $849, and that's the Navigraph Marine Nationale. So, what do you think to Yema, guys?
Yeah, I haven't had any personal experience with Yema yet. I've never had one in my actual hands, so I'm sort of reserving judgment on them. But from looking at the photos of the watches, that they look pretty cool. Yeah, they look nice. The size of the watch is pretty cool, I think. I don't know. I'll probably just shut up and let anyone who's actually handled one speak.
Well, I haven't handled one myself, so no, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, that looks pretty cool. That's nice. I like the yellow one actually you had before. I think it was a bit different.
Yeah, I like that one with the yellow. It's got a definition to it, just as something colourful.
Yeah, different.
Thomas, question. What's the price point for this particular piece? Do we have any information about it?
The one is $849 US dollars.
And what kind of movement did it have again?
They call it the in-house calibrate Yema 2000 movement. So I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
Chinese.
Exactly. Like I don't like it when companies like say, "Oh, it's an in-house movement adapted," and they don't even say it's adapted from this movement on that movement. And
Oh,
I like it more when they say, "Oh, we have this STP movement, we have this Selita, we have Miyota." Just be honest about it.
yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that, Abdul. Definitely.
I agree with you guys.
They can't call it in-house though if it's not really in-house, can they? Like you can't say it's an in-house movement if you've taken a movement from somewhere and just modified it. Like I don't think you can actually call it in-house then.
They can. They can. They can. Yeah, play on words. They can. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Tech Oil did it with the Seiko movement that they adapted and they said it in-house. Panerai did it. A lot of companies did it with the movement. Yeah.
Panerai did it, and then they put this glass back on it, which you could with like waves on the back of the glass back, and you could just about see that it's an ETA movement.
Yeah, so it's just they're full of shit then, basically.
Yeah, there's two things certain in life that you're going to die, and Panerai will make a limited edition of it.
Yeah.
What?
Oh.
No, the funny thing is sometimes we talk about in a way like ownership rights, okay, trademark rights, ownership rights towards who created the movement. There's always this discussion that sometimes we often see the narrative whereby they use, for example, an ETA platform, and then they so-called like do a modular design and they add something on top of it, and bada bing, bada boom, or we have so-called in-house movement or something like that. Yeah.
Rock on Sales is asking why has it got an anchor at the bottom. That's because it's issued to the Marine Nationale, the French Navy, and they're just putting the anchor emblem of the Marine Nationale on the watch. So it's just a bit of showing off to brand the watch. So.
Yeah, so that's French Navy, right? Marine Nationale.
Yeah. So move on. Yeah, just like I don't know whether they did it on the FXD, on the Tudor FXD, but and we've got a blank screen. Oh, here we go. So this is a Zelos Swordfish 40 at 429. Now I couldn't get to the Zelos site because Zelos sell out really, really quickly. So if you want a Zelos, you need to hit the website up and pick a watch off there and get it quickly. But this is a 40 millimeters, 12 millimeters thick, 46 lug to lug, 200 meter water resistant, and we know what movement they're using here. It's an NH35, Seiko NH35, so at least we know that. Color match style date wheel, sapphire crystal with the inner and anti-reflective coating, flip lock and micro adjustable clasp, and a fume colored dial, which they tend to do on a lot of their watches. They go for the fume colored dials. But $429, this is an absolute bargain.
Yeah, Zelos was going to be one of the brands I was going to speak about because I've got one. Actually, got one here. This is the black tip, and the cool thing about these guys is that they're designing watches that just look different to everything else. Like they don't look like anything. They just look like a Zelos, and they've got their own design language. They've got they use really cool colors. They use different materials. These guys are actually sort of innovating, and they're bringing really affordable watches to the market. Great value, just cool pieces. Yeah, I've got a lot of good things to say about these.
Check out your black tip, JCB.
JCB?
Sorry about that. Cut you off. I wanted to...
So this is the black tip. You can see the. I'll try and get it quicker. So this is the one with the teal dial. You can see that. Look at the dial is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It looks really nice.
Yeah,
really nice.
You know, JCB, that angle which you were holding just less than 3 seconds ago. Yeah, there you go. Really like a sunburst. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the. I actually I bought this watch because of the dial. The dial is amazing. It's really nice.
Where credit is due for this watch, which you're showing JCB, just a little FYI for the viewers that the watch that JCB is showing, this Zelos was actually developed and, if I'm not wrong, designed in Singapore by a person called Elshan Tang. So yeah, please continue, JCB.
Yeah, so this is the black tip. These watches, as Thomas was saying, they sell out within minutes of hitting the website. What can I say? I think they put some, as I was saying before about design, I think they've put their money into actually designing watches. He gets, everything is manufactured for him. The movements are pretty cheap. NH35 generally. They've got some other, he's got some other movements there as well. But I think for the price range, sort of US 500 to 800, 900, sort of that sort of range. It's just great value for money, and like I was saying, it's just about having like the design language and the DNA across Zelos is very unique. It just doesn't look like another watch out there, in my opinion. It's very unique, and that's what's sort of cool about Zelos as a brand. That he's just designing some cool stuff and using some good materials. I've got the website open, Thomas. If you want to chuck that on.
Sure.
I'll put this on.
Before I was just saying the hammerhead is really nice. They've just put out a bronze version of the hammerhead, haven't they? Which is really nice.
So this is the watch I was gonna one of my picks for the divers. This is called the spearfish. Spearfish 40 mil. The one, look at that, you can see they've got, so Zelos do a whole heap of different colors and they do different materials. They've even got, look, meteor, meteorite dials. The one that hasn't sold out yet is this forged carbon one. And this is probably would be the one that I would pick actually out of all these. I like the use of forged carbon. It's different. It makes each watch individual as well. It looks shit on this render, I've got to admit. So go over to this guy here. You probably know this guy, Average Brothers, Mark Alamaris from On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. He does really good reviews. He did the review of the watch here, and it's just a cool piece. It compares it to the swordfish, which is I think the one that you had up, Thomas. You can see this one here, 11.5 mil thick, really nice and thin. It's a really nice wearing watch, I think. So they've just done a good, really good. Yeah, it's an everyday sort of watch. Forged carbon dial, forged carbon bezel. I think it's 200 meters. So yeah, just a cool watch, that one. I think you can check that out. It's got the spearfish. The swordfish is the other one. I think Thomas had up a second ago. What do we got? So you're mentioning the hammerhead, Thomas. Yeah, that's another cool piece. It's a little bit on the big side. It's a bit chunky as well. The hammerhead, you find that one a little bit sort of quite a big piece.
Yeah, some lovely dials that they come up with, don't they? Zelos, lovely colour.
Yeah, I mean, look at all this stuff. I mean, it's full on. They've got mother of pearl. They do meteor dials. They've got like blue meteor. They just do Look at this one's really cool. Blue meteorite dial. So he's bringing out a lot of different material and combine that with distinctive designs at a cheap price. You know, no wonder he's so popular. He's killing the market. He's just absolutely killing it.
If you look at that, $545. I mean, just a steal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the kind of watch which we were talking about. How long? What do you do about servicing? That is the kind of watch that, like Abdul says, you could sell, resell, and rebuy another.
Yeah, or just buy a new movement. It's got an NH35.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy to do a mod X on that and just replace the movement.
I think they cost about $50 or something to buy that movement.
Yeah.
So you could just buy one and get your watchmaker to put it in, and off you go. So yeah, I think they're a good brand to have a look at. I think if the punters out there, if you haven't heard of them or if you haven't looked into them, just spend a bit of time on their website and have a look at the reviews. A lot of the like guys like Jason, Design Atelier, Random Rob, I think.
Yeah, Design Atelier does some great Zelos. Videos.
There's some good reviews. And this guy's cool too. I don't know if you guys probably know. You've probably seen this guy here, Average Brothers. He does some good reviews as well. So that's it. Zelos. Cool brand.
Yeah, just to add to what JCB was sharing, is that, for example, even for the Zelos Mako V3, now I'm not really fully familiar with it, but I'm just checking Carousel. So Carousel is an online second-hand platform that people can actually sell watches, where Zelos was developed and made in Singapore. So briefly looking at the prices for Zelos wise, Zelos, well, I would say that because it's a brand that's very bespoke and also very unique in its own way, the clientele in terms of people who buy these watches are people who are looking for something different, but at the same time they don't want to break their bank. So the question that some of you viewers might be asking is that, well, what's in it for you if you buy this watch? Well, the thing is that we see that they were using the NH35 movement of Seiko. And for example, even for another piece, they're using the Miyota movement. I think the Miyota movement. So
he's using Le Jour Pareil movements as well in some of the watches. So it's got a few different movements. Yeah, it's not just Seiko NH35.
Yeah, so we seem to have lost Abdul for a moment there. But the thing about, to encourage you guys, is that whenever you hear about watch and it's a Miyota movement, it's like that. I get that feeling too. I also have that problem as well from time to time. But the whole idea of when a watch uses a Miyota movement is there have been people, even for me, for some of my watches, they use the Miyota movement. It's the same accuracy as entry-level Swiss movements, okay? So over time, the whole idea of using a Miyota movement, it's all about ease and convenience for servicing. And the Miyota movement is basically more of a workhorse. And when we compare Miyota movements to Chinese movements, which are like perhaps a seagull movement, the Miyota movement is actually considered to be slimmer in terms of sizing as well. So I would ask.
They're owned by Citizen, aren't they, Miyota? I believe.
Good question, Thomas. I'm not very sure.
I think they are. I think they're Citizen. Under the Citizen brand,
I think so as well, yeah. Yeah, I would say Zelos makes great watches, and they have like a price segment covering everything from the NH35 for the entry level. They have the Miyota a little bit higher, and they have the Le Jour Pareil for the higher movements, for the couple of $1,000 for the really cool bespoke ones. And I think they're one of these brands, micro brand, that evolved into a small player in the big boys league. I think the Zelos is one of these brands, and when you start having Chinese brands making homage watches of your watches, then you know, okay, you're making something right. And I think there are a lot of homage watches for Zelos, which is pretty crazy that you just put couple of $100 more and buy the real thing. But I guess some people want to have the look as well and just save the max.
Have they got homage watches for Zelos now, have they?
Yeah, they do. They do.
What?
For the Meiko and the Hammerhead, there are a couple of Chinese ones that are selling for like $180 or something like that.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's interesting because, you know, just to share about the buyer's perspective, okay? So in the local perspective, which is local, I use what local is in Singapore. So most buyers here, when they talk about watch collecting and buying timepieces, a lot of people, when we talk about Zelos, there's actually a much bigger clientele of buyers that are from overseas that actually come and buy the Zelos watches. They actually say like, wow, I know about Zelos. But realistically, if you went on the streets here and you ask someone about a Zelos watch, they might not even know what it is, because in their minds, the local concept, you know, the perspective, they only think about, I must aim high, aim high, purely Swiss brand. So they only go for like Swiss made movements. The concept is that they believe is that only Swiss made movements are the best and nothing else. So of course, on the other flip side, you have those people who say like, yeah, so can I actually sell it and make money? You know, it's all the thing about making money from buying a timepiece. So Zelos, I would say, does very well in the international market, but in the local market, it really is like trying to peel away the layers to try and appeal to the local market as well. And in the local market here, secondhand Zelos honestly do not really hold the price well, because the idea is that people always are only swinging towards a more recognizable, prominent brand. So that's just something to share with people who are curious about Zelos and how it does in the country of origin in Singapore.
So the Zodiac was a bit of a hit and miss one with the colours, and I brought this one up, the fairer aquamatic, and this comes in a range of colours. This one's the recently released by the British company Fairer. The Aquamatic's a great diver that ships with a bracelet and 2 straps, one which is rubber and one which is a NATO, and of a colourful lineup to choose from. Quite a good summer watch, I think. You're using a Sleater SW220-1, 41 hours power reserve, 200 meters water resistance, 38.5 millimeters wide and 11.9 thick, 45 lug to lug. Day and date in either English or French, which is quite novel, and a flat sapphire crystal with internal anti-reflective coating. A quite nice hour hand, and a point-minute hand with superluminova, and these are designed in London and made in Switzerland. So there's one colour, and you can see again like the Zodiac, they've gone for a lighter colour. So these ones are £895. It's on the rubber strap, that one. Don't know what you think to these ones.
Don't all speak so quickly, guys, you know.
Yeah, don't speak so quickly.
Yeah, you are mesmerized by the quality of this brand with their beautiful colors.
I like the Fairer chronograph, actually. I think that's a cool watch. But this diver, I think the hands and the markers look a bit big. It's a bit like cartoonish. It's like it's come out of a fucking Mickey Mouse cartoon or something.
Yeah, I
love
actually
it.
had the same feeling. I thought it's like much bigger than 38 millimeters, and I thought like it's right out of Speed Racer movie or something like that. I really like their like vintage inspired look for chronographs, but this one is just too much. It looks like plastic somehow. I don't know why, but it looks like plastic from me.
Yeah, going for the summer look, definitely.
On that note, guys, I'm going to jump off. Got to. It's getting late here, and got to wrap up a few things before I hit the bed. So it's been a pleasure. I'll leave you
great,
to it.
great to have you,
Pleasure,
JCB.
GCB.
Take
and
care.
have a great one, yeah.
Yeah, great to
Good chat
see
with
you.
boys. I'll catch you next on the next one.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Take care, my friend.
Thank you, JCB.
Have a great
All
one.
right, boys. Good catching you guys. I'll speak to you soon.
Take care, JCB.
All right,
Take
boys.
care.
Bye bye.
Later.
I was just going to end on one last one, which a bit of a contentious issue. It's not an automatic. It's this one's a quartz one, so you're paying quite a bit of money for a quartz watch. It's the CWC 1983 Royal Navy Divers Quartz reissue, 45 millimeters. It's 11 millimeters thick, 47 lug to lug, 300 water resistant, sword hands. Fixed strap bars, a Ronda Swiss quartz movement, made for Ministry of Defence 1983 specification. And in 1983, CWC produced the first quartz diver's watch for the Royal Navy, and this reissue has been made to the same specifications, but with superluminova as tritium is no longer available. The T on the dial remains for historical correctness, and the quartz version was specified by the Ministry of Defence to include a polished case, sword minute hand, tritium dial, and luminous bezel. This continued throughout the 80s and the early 90s, and the hands and bezel changed. They say, "We take great pride in producing timepieces worn by the British forces for 50 years." So, yeah, it's quite an interesting one, this. Quartz watches are used by a lot of the services now, and they're easy to just throw away, I think, and or just replace a battery rather than people forgetting to wind them up, or things go wrong with them.
Yeah, I guess it's always a good thing to have the least amount of parts inside your watch when in your some kind of tactical mission, because some kind of failure might occur. How much was it?
£899.
Ooh, that's a lot
A
for
lot of money
quartz.
for a quartz watch, isn't it? Yeah.
Wow, that is expensive.
That's really expensive, to be honest. Might be playing on the heritage factor and the people who like military watches, but for me, that's just price gouging, to be honest.
Yeah, the thing about I can actually would like to add as a bonus for tonight's live stream to everyone, is that most militaries around the world, they do rely on quartz pieces because, number one, it's more of like being able to easily replaceable. The module and the battery of the watches are easily replaceable, and even for us in Singapore, we serve in the Singapore military, which is mandatory for all males for 18 years and above. So when we finish our 10-year reservist cycle, they would issue us a watch. Previously, they would give us a Hamilton, okay, and we were like, "Oh wow, if you get Hamilton," and we were like, and now we're just getting a watch. It just says, "Thank you for your service," and it just put a Swiss flag out there, like, and we are, oh, is it like, is it still the same? It doesn't hold the same feeling anymore when as ex-servicemen, you get a watch that's not really the same as like your other previous predecessors were like, or your seniors getting a Hamilton, and you're like, oh, well, mine's not the same anymore. You know, it's the feeling of it. Yeah, just thought I'd put it out there for everyone.
Yeah, so with a bit overpriced, this one, do you think? Just to be able to buy into the British military sort of.
So, actually, I do have a solution, Thomas, for people who are thinking about buying a proper diver, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to spend so much money, but you still want to be able to get a proper diver. So
Yeah.
Tonight I did bring on 2 specials that I have on hand with me. So this is Luminox. Okay. Now, for those of you who watch, is it the Travel Channel or something? Bear Grylls actually uses this, and also the U.S. Navy SEALs. I think they also use Luminox as well. Yeah. So what's good about this piece is about 1,000 Singapore dollars, but amazingly, the depth rating for this one is 300 meters, which is literally on par with some high-end Swiss watches like Omega and a few other pieces. So if you are considering a watch that's got good depth, diving depth, this is one good. Luminox is a brand I would highly recommend you guys to go check it out. Let me just remove the strap to show you guys the back casing of it. All right, so this is the Luminox. Okay. Now this one has the crown guard, which is a bit of a lock. So you pull this, all right, and then once this is disengaged, you still need to loosen up the crown. All right, you turn it anti-clockwise until you feel a pop. You know, it's out now, and you can change the time, date, etc. To re-engage the water protection for the crown, you push it back in. Okay, press it down hard, make sure that it's secure, and then you close it. Okay,
right.
So it's double security for you. For those of you who are really looking for a sporty, lightweight diving watch with 300 meters water resistance, the Luminox watch is really one piece to go for. They've got quite a bunch of colors, and they do use tritium, which is the lume actually lasts very, very long for these pieces. Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah, and as a bonus for tonight, guys, I would also recommend my Mudmaster. So this watch was literally
We didn't include any Casio. I must apologise for Justin Forge as well. Marathon, they should have been included, but there's so many watches in this category that we can't include them all. I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Fortis was one as well. Fortis makes really nice dive watches.
Yeah. So for those,
Yeah, great watch.
Yeah, so for those of you who also want to save a buck but want to get a very robust dive watches, the Mudmaster is one. I think it's got 20 bars. Is it 20 bars? Yeah, 200 meters.
It doesn't have a bezel, right?
No, it doesn't have a bezel. Yeah, so that's one thing you need to contend about. So this piece particularly, I went up to Switzerland with this. It could do temperature detection. Altitude, which is really very accurate. The altimeter on these guys are really scarily accurate.
That's great. Yeah. So that's about the end of our choices of under £1,000. And yeah, I just wanted to ask you, Abdul. I wanted you to plug your the Talking Time with Tim Mosso Facebook page. You're quite active in that, aren't you? I just wanted to spread the word to the punters.
Yeah, it's really a cool group of people. We meet with Tim on Wednesdays on Facebook Live chat. Small group of people post also daily wrist shots, so you get this influx of cool pictures of watches the whole week. And yeah, Tim also is very active in the group. So a couple of days we post like cars post, and then people start interacting. Other days we post about watches. It's a pretty fun group to be in.
Yeah, and also Bill Sanders' High Horology group as well.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Bill is my favorite group for finding watches, because I like unique watches, and Bill is the master of finding watches that you just. My list for watches to buy is pretty full because of Bill. So yeah, that's definitely the place to go to.
So there's two Facebook groups there, guys. If you want to join, there's High Horology Lounge. Is it High Horology Lounge?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. High Horology Lounge, run by Bill Sanders, and Talking Time with Tim Mosso, run by Tim Mosso. So some great Facebook groups you can join there, guys, if you want to really analyze your watches and get into it. So, yeah, we've had quite a long show today, and thanks to everyone for joining. JCB and Dodger and Alex and YTK, Abdul. It's been a great seeing you all. Lovely to see that Rolex that you showed us, Alex. That was fascinating.
Oh yes, yeah, lovely.
Beautiful watch. Yeah,
beautiful watch. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Really,
always great to see you working away as well, Alex.
Thank you.
Fascinating stuff.
And if you want to get your watch service done by a reliable watchmaker in the UK, you know who to find.
That's me, guys.
Alex, perpetual-time.com or Perpetual Time Limited. Yeah, he's your man. So there you are. Got his contact details on the screen, and he's your man for all your watch servicing based in Liverpool, England. So if you're based in England or Europe or surrounding areas and you need your high-end watch pieces doing, I think he specializes in Rolex, Hublot, Omega, and many other brands, I believe. Yeah.
Tag, Omega, yeah. That's right.
Hit him up. Yeah. So, guys, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for joining us in the chat. Great to see you all. Is there any more to add?
No, thanks everyone in the chat. Thanks, Tom, for the invitation. Thanks
you're welcome, Abdul.
Everyone on the
welcome, Abdul.
Great
and
discussion.
Alex, Thomas, really good job, guys. Really good job tonight. Thank you so much for always making the channel, so spontaneous, and everybody in the chat's also giving us your queries, your questions. And if you have Q&A, if you guys have any questions or anything about diving watches, or maybe if you want some ideas on what we might be choosing for each of us, just hit us up in the chats. And I think Thomas can also put up the email for the show. So if you guys have questions, you can also send your questions and queries to the Escapement email account.
Yeah, I'll just type that in now. Let me see.
Right, guys, so just stand by for the email from Thomas. I think he'll put it up in the chats for you guys if you have questions or anything you want to ask as well. There'll be plenty more of different type of content, watch content that's coming up for sure. So we're always open to suggestions, ideas, that you guys have, or even biting questions if you want to talk about what is the watch you want to buy for your teenage son or for your child. We don't mind, looking into that as well together with you guys.
Yeah, if you enjoyed the stream, guys, give us a like, and if you're not already subscribed, subscribe, please, if you like the content. So, we can encourage us to do a bit more. Yeah.
And most importantly, we have to thank, Abdul R Watches. He has a channel, and Alexandros 40. He also has a channel. go check their channels out. Go look at what services they provide, and hit them up in YouTube.
Did you want to post a link to your channel, Abdul, once more?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thanks.
Just put that in private chat.
Yeah.
Abdul's channel is absolutely great. It's a thorough enthusiast channel.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
At the same time,
I try to go neutral as possible.
Yes, guys, do check out Abdul's channel. Thanks to Thomas from the first stream, I managed to learn, and there was another YouTuber called Abdul R Watches. So I had subscribed to Abdul R Watches and are checking his channel out in due time. Also for Alexandros 40, his channel also does watch reviews also. So if you guys are interested, you can also check out his channel for a watch reviews perspective from a watchmaker's point of view.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Welcome,
yeah, that's
thank you to everyone.
Perpetual Time Limited on YouTube. So check that out, everyone. It's a some great stuff going on there. Subscribe to him immediately. So we'll end it now, guys. It's been great to see you all, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, guys, and most importantly, thank you, viewers and guests.
Yeah, take care, everyone. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.